There's a lot going on there. There's also a lot going on here. And I want to start with the quarterback situation. It looked again like Russell Wilson was very limited, which means so Justin Fields is on track. I wonder about the other Justin Herbert because, he has that what's considered, I guess, a mild high ankle sprain, which you can play through. X-rays were negative. They have Ethan Stick as their backup. Now, you can say what you want about him, but he's been with that program for a lot of years now, 5, I believe. But Justin Herbert is their man, although it's become more of a run team. Do you expect him to play? Because I do, based on things I've seen. A lot of people have doubts about it. I don't. I think unless there's something major wrong, I don't think Justin Herbert's going to play.
Well, the play where he got hurt on looked bad. I mean, he got rolled up on, and that's the type of injury that can break an ankle, like we saw O'Neal Cruz for the Pirates early last season. So he's very fortunate that it's only an ankle sprain and it's not one that is deemed a long-term one. I think this game on Sunday is very important as far as the playoff ramifications go, as far as tiebreakers go, because if you're of the opinion that the Chiefs are going to win the AFC West, then for the Chargers, they need to find teams like the Steelers and maybe the Jets and other teams like that in the other divisions who are playoff contenders and beat them head-to-head. So from that way of looking at it, Jim Harbaugh has talked about the Steelers as a playoff team. So that attitude and mindset, I think, might permeate and trickle down to Herbert. Now, me, Bob, personally, if I was the coach of the Chargers or the GM there, I think I might want to get in there and say, look, yeah, it's an important game, but we've got 14 more of these. And instead of putting Justin Herbert out there against T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and Cam Hayward, we're probably better off giving him a week to rest. Maybe more than a week to rest, but at least a week, and then having him healthy for the duration of the season. The worst thing for the Chargers, Bob, is if this were to get worse and he misses significant playing time, and then they're really in trouble. So I think they got to look big picture. I agree with you. I think that he probably will play, but I do think there's a strong argument for him to sit out this game and look ahead to what's down the road.
Good game. It's going to be 1 o'clock on Sunday. We'll have it on KDKA-TV, beginning with the pregame at 11:30 a.m. and 2 hours of postgame afterwards on the mothership. Pirates, we have to talk about David Bednar, Pony, when we come back. We got to take a break right now, but once again, he was the problem. He and the entire late-inning bullpen. Not that these games matter for the Pirates who have been eliminated, but still, it's an indication that they got problems there. We'll talk about it and more. Get your opinions at 412-575-2600, the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Let's get to the lines. We'll get into the Pirates in a minute, but I want to get some of these calls on, Andrew. We got Dave in South Park joining us here right now. Hey, Dave.
Hey, Dave.
Bob, Andrew, what's happening with Dave Bednar, and what's his future with the Pirates?
Very good questions. The answer is I don't know. It's not a velocity thing, I don't think. It's a location thing. And you wonder about the future now. Andrew, this has not been a good year. He's had moments in this year where he went through a pretty good month and a half. Now everything has changed. I don't know. Do you recommit to him? Do you give him an offseason to say, hey, we still believe in you? Or do you try to find other closers? They've been pretty good about locating guys who can be closers.
Well, they could do that, but they should also, I don't think they should sell low on David Bednar. I don't think you'd get much back right now. And so I think he's got to factor into your planning next year now. Having him start the season as your seventh inning guy or something like that, I think makes more sense. He's not going to get as big of a raise now in arbitration because he's coming off a horrible year. So he is more affordable to them. And we've seen closers do this before where they're really bad one year and much better the next. So I'm not throwing in the towel on David Bednar, but I also think it would be unwise to just assume that he comes back next year and everything's fine and he's going to get 40 saves again. There needs to be a contingency plan. He needs to be more of a backup plan than the number one guy to start 2025.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think they pretty much put him in a role. Like he came in the, what was it, 8th inning today, or 7th inning, and gave up the game-tying home run. They had a lead in that game, and he needs to figure it out. There's no question. They still have some years for him, and hopefully he would get it together and at some point get back to where he was when he went through that good streak earlier this year. Let's go out to Eric in Johnstown. Eric joins us right now on the hotline. Hey, Eric.
Hi. Thanks for taking my call tonight, Bob.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I want to say I'm glad to see Sidney Crosby signed again. It's one step closer, I think, to him retiring as a Penguin. And what I wanted to ask tonight, Bob, is I heard from a source that Mark Cuban might possibly be back in the market to purchase the Pirates. I wanted to see if you could elaborate on it, or you heard anything.
We've heard that, Eric, for years, and it's not a question of whether or not he's willing. It's a question: is Bob Nutting willing to sell? And I think the answer to that is a strong no, Andrew. I just think he knows the valuation continues to get higher regardless of their record, regardless of where they finish, regardless of what he spends. So from that point of view, I don't see that happening. Do you?
It's also a status thing to say that you own one of only 30 Major League Baseball teams. It also gives you big-time name recognition, and for very rich people, I think that it is a flex or a way of putting your ego out there that you own a baseball team, and it is a moneymaker. There's so many revenue streams with Major League Baseball that come in that trickle down to the Pirates that I agree. I've not heard anything that there's going to be an imminent sale of the Pirates to another owner, whether that's Mark Cuban or somebody else.
But if it was willing to be sold, I bet you he would be interested in it for a lot of reasons. But I just don't. It takes two to tango, and I don't think he's ready to tango. Let's go to John in Cranberry. Hey, John, what's going on?
I've never tangoed, by the way, Bob.
You should
I've never
try.
done a tango.
You know, they have these local Dancing with the Stars celebrity things. You should try it. You're getting your body in shape. You have. John, are you on? I'm sorry. We're talking dance. Didn't mean to do that.
Sorry, John.
Thanks for taking my call. I appreciate you guys. So a lot of Pirate calls tonight, and I watched them blow the lead again tonight. So the Brewers clinched the division for the third time in 4 years. The Royals won 106 games last year. They're probably playoff bound. We've seen what Cleveland and Baltimore have done, and now the Detroit Tigers are a game out of first place, or excuse me, a wild card. My question to you guys: these are similar markets to Pittsburgh. So for both you and Andrew, first, do you think that Ben and Derek should be back? And my other questions are, what do you think will happen at the end of the season if they don't win as many games as they did last year?
Yeah, they have 71 now, John, and I don't know if they'll get there the way they're playing. I think if I'm going to put more of a blame game here, it would be on the GM, Ben Cherington, just because I think managers have only to deal with what they have. Now, you can put a blame on both if you want. My guess is that one won't be, one will be back. And you're right, the other, Andrew, those teams do it with a variety of ways. They spend more, they make, it's not even about spending a lot of money. It's about getting production for what you spend. The Pirates didn't get any of that this year in free agency. They got a bunch of guys who just were a bunch of guys.
Yeah, they spent over $30 million on one-year contracts and didn't get very much return on that, so it was not a good investment, and that would be Ben Cherington and not the owner or the manager who are to blame for that, Bob. What do I think is going to happen? I think right now, I think both will be back, but I don't feel great in saying that because how do you sell that to your fans in the offseason? I think they're going to demand a pound of flesh. I think that the organization might think, well, we'll fire the hitting coach and that'll placate the fans. I don't think that'll be enough. I think there's legitimate anger and animosity that you got Paul Skeens for most of the year and you had O'Neal Cruz healthy the entire year, and you might actually be worse than last year's team. That's unacceptable, so I think they'd want more. The problem is Ben Cherington basically attached himself at the hip to Shelton last week with the vote of confidence, and I don't see the owner firing Ben Cherington. So I think that Shelton will go into next year on a hot seat, and I think Cherington will also go in needing results, needing this team to be around to be 500 or better. I mean, they're going to need to compete for a playoff spot next year. For them to have, I think, a long-term future in Pittsburgh.
And to be honest, it's not that difficult to compete for wild cards. They've added so many teams to this now. Come on, you could be one of these teams and just the results matter. And I think next year is the results. If they both stay, that's got to be it. This is it. Need to see results. Results have to, end up in a playoff spot somewhere, somehow. We're due for a break. Andrew will take it. Come back with more. It's the Ireland Contract, the Nightly Sports Call. We do this 7 nights a week. Don't be a stranger. Call us at 412-575-2600.